Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to Jazz July, the series where throughout the month of July we are listening to different jazz albums. And today, of course, we are checking out Herbie Hancock's 1973 record, Sextant. Now, Sextant came out not long before Headhunters here, a phenomenal must-listen-to jazz album, funky album, jazz fusion album, highly recommended. And this kind of is him also jumping into that exact same sound. Came out the same year, I believe like 5-6 months prior to Headhunters. And knowing that makes me pretty excited. I've never checked this one out. I know this one is not nearly as popular as Headhunter. However, I do know that this one is still considered to be a must-listen in the Herbie Hancock discography. But with only 3 tracks, it actually has less songs than Headhunters at only 39 minutes, making this a pretty short, tight listen. And I'm expecting this to be funky. I'm expecting this to be, jazzy, a little bit more explorative in its sound with these quite lengthy runtimes, especially Hornets being the longest of the track list here, also longer than any track on Headhunters. So let's see how Mr. Herbie Hancock, the incredible pianist, and just musician in general, tackles this album. Spacey already, kind of matching the vibe of the cover. Oh my goodness, very spacey, like alien effects. Got ourselves a little trumpet there. Holy hell. Like an explosion of sound there. We've got Herbie on the piano, the Fender Rhodes, the clavinet, the Mellotron, the ARP Pro Soloist, the Moog synthesizer, pretty much an array of keyboard instruments. Now it's Eddie Henderson on the trumpet we heard earlier. Oh, this is less structured, it feels like, already than Headhunters. This bass, Buster Williams on this bass guitar and double bass. Really thick bass lines, funky. Oh my god. Herbie really escalating that piano on the left regimen there. And there's percussion on the drums. Billy Hart really just exploding over the rest of the sound there, kind of like spilling over. I feel like we're in a desert out in space. That clapping is coming back. Oh. What the? Some sort of synth here. That's either Herbie or Patrick Gleason. Easy to follow melody, but it's very chunky and very kind of off kilter against how nice that bass was. Kind of sounds like a rain stick. Considering it's called Rain Dance. Maybe some similarity there. It's like cycling around our brain. I feel like we're in some sort of alien spaceship cruising a desert. Oh. Already less accessible than headhunters, for sure. Some sort of error in our spaceship. An alarm has been rung. Feels like it's coming down on us. That clapping feels like the only human element we have to hold on to. Everything else, very alien, very eerie, very high or very heavy on the sci-fi. Very strange, very sparse arrangements, much heavier focus on synths on this record, on this track, I should say, to the point of sounding very alien and disturbed, eerie, sci-fi. Let's go into Hidden Shadows. We got a cowbell here. Julian Priester? I don't know what that noise is. Deep. Some crazy instruments I've never heard of on here. Like this one, the Afuche, Kabasa, Flugelhorn. Sounds like something out of Looney Tunes. This one already a bit more structured than that opener. This one kind of has like a kind of mystery component to it. Like we're in some sort of mystery or sci-fi spy film. I like how subtle that horn is on the left. I feel like your typical jazz instruments are dialed back on this record. To really make way for the weird, the funky, the synths. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. I really like that sax coming in. Bernie Maupin? Eddie Henderson on the trumpet. A drummy Billy Hart here. Kind of skittery. Oh. And getting rapid here. Whoa. That was a nice groove he got into. Everyone here getting a bit more rambunctious as the time runs on. Feels like a slow building fight is brewing. With how much more unstructured and how much more sparse the arrangements seem to be on this record, you know, it definitely feels a little bit more avant-garde, less accessible than Headhunters. Somewhat more experimental and abstract in its execution. Herbie here. Like shimmering chimes. Oh my god. It's like he's untethered from the rest of the group here. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's really Eerie off kilter. Oh my god. This track is really taking on a life of its own. It's like I said, exploding. Compared to the beginning of the track, which was so slow and meticulous, now everything feels explosive, loud, competing. Everything stripped back. Not really sure how I feel about this track. I'll get into it just after the track comes to a close. But I have some gripes that hold me back. Ooh. Okay, I found that one less engaging than Rain Dance. I think I do like its slower, more well-paced nature, and the fact that it takes its time kind of developing its sound. I like the way all the instruments kind of keep adding on to one another and eventually feel like they are exploding at that 3/4 section of the track. However, I do find it's also less focused in a sense. It feels like it doesn't really know which direction to go, and I feel like the payoff, that explosive sound, isn't strong enough to really warrant the runtime, and doesn't feel rewarding enough by the time the track comes to a close. Would have preferred, I guess, a bit more structure, but I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's go to Hornets. 19.5 minutes. This is a lengthy one. Hopefully this justifies its runtime. I like this train-like percussion. Our bassist taking things away in his own way. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Ba, ba, ba. Oh. I love our bassist. What the hell is that, a kazoo? It sounded like a kazoo here. What? The breakaway. I was expecting a larger drop there. We're being blue-balled here today. Oh, I already like this track more than the last one, I think. I don't know what it is, but some of this track, specifically the bass line, kind of reminded me of Brian Eno's Another Green World, even though it's a ambient album of sorts. Oh. Okay. There's a bit more of that explosion I was looking for. Not quite as grand as I was hoping. But a drummer taking it away. A trumpet. Or flugelhorn. Not too sure. A lot going on. It all feels too... and a bit too separated for my liking. Oh. I do like those horns sliding in smoothly like that. Hard to predict this track. Very hard to predict. Every time I think something's gonna come in, it doesn't. Instead, something else entirely happens. Oh my god. Okay. Just got beat over the head multiple times there. Little short spurts of the trumpet, I believe. Really, the only thing tethering us is that melody. Whereas everything else, like this weird kazoo, maybe that's supposed to represent the hornet. Kind of feels like it. Just won't leave us alone. I find myself much more perplexed by what I'm hearing. Conflicted. Unlike Headhunters, which right away I love. This record is much more challenging, one might say. Oh my god. Ba-da-bum bum ba-da-bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-da-bum ba-da-bum ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-da-bum ba-da-bum ba-dum ba-dum That's really hypnotic rhythm. Throughout the record here, throughout the track, keeps trading off to different instruments, it would seem. We have our hornet back with that kazoo buzzing around. All these explosions of drums and such, when it does like this loud burst of energy, what's the point if it all just kind of fizzles out? Kind of feels like it never quite sticks the landing with how loud and abrasive it can get. Okay. Oh. I do like this kind of eerie finish. Okay, let's pause it. Consider me conflicted. Hornets felt like it meandered far too long. 19 minutes. It feels like it doesn't justify the runtime. Again, maybe I just went into this with the wrong mindset, because Headhunters is one of my favorite jazz funk albums ever. I think an essential must-listen-to jazz album. And Sextant, going into this, I was expecting it to be very similar. However, Sextant is like the more experimental, smarter, more sophisticated brother, one might say, whereas Headhunters feels like the more fun, accessible, while still very sharp listen. You know, it's kind of hard to examine this record when Headhunters came out the same year and feels like a more polished, more interesting, more catchy, while still engaging listen. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy some experimental avant-garde music as well. I do enjoy a lot of jazz records that are a lot more improvisational in a way, and less structured. Just listened to Miles Davis' Bitches Brew recently. Loved that record. I thought it's phenomenal. However, Sextant, to me, feels like it meanders far too much and doesn't feel as interesting or as hypnotic as something like that record. I'm a little disappointed. I wanted something more groovy. I wanted something more accessible, which this record certainly was not that. And for that, I say that's actually on me. That is a fault of my own. I went into this with the wrong expectations. However, there are certain elements of this record that I did enjoy, and I think with repeated listenings, this album will grow on me rather than kind of put me off, because I did like Rain Dance. I liked elements of Hornets. I liked elements of Hidden Shadows. I think Rain Dance is the strongest, though. It does feel the most complete in a sense. And it's less meandering in a way, which, again, I also enjoyed. Really funky, very spacey, very out of this world, this record is. But at the same time, it's this alien sort of sound that also feels very unhuman and hard to digest on a first listen. Herbie Hancock, phenomenal player here. The synth work is, very well put together. The trumpets and the saxes, I do like the way they kind of flourish at times and kind of sneak into the mix. The shaker throughout Hornets was a really nice touch, hypnotic. But it was a difficult listen, I would say, despite its short runtime. But that does it for today's video. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to follow along and listen to more jazz albums. We got to close out the month before we start the August month and we start the August genre. And if you want to suggest a jazz album, go ahead and leave it down below. I will probably try to check it out. However, I do have a few records that I still would like to check out myself, so we'll see what happens. But as always, my name is Randy Joe, and I'm signing off.